Hello, everybody, and welcome to Coffee with a Therapist this wonderful Monday morning. I am enjoying some coffee here with, I think it's almond milk creamer. I'm pausing because I'm not sure if it's almond milk or oat milk. I think it's almond milk. And it is really good. It's really good. So I think if you have to go dairy free and you don't want to miss out on the creaminess of dairy products in your coffee, I would highly recommend some of the products coming out now because I really don't feel like I miss milk at all. And I can have a little bit of dairy, but it does cause some reactions for me personally. Again, dietary advice is not what I do, but I do believe in holistic health and listening to our bodies. So if you know certain things work for you and certain things don't, honoring that sort of thing. And today, what I wanted to talk about was actually how parentification can affect people as adults and in their adult relationships. And so first I want to define what parentification means. So sometimes when people grew up in their family systems, their parents didn't have all the tools they needed to emotionally regulate themselves. And so what they did was they would rely on a kid and sometimes multiple children to help them meet their emotional needs and sometimes also their physical needs and other needs in the family system. And often this comes from a context of a parent maybe not having all of the support, some single mom or dad households where, for whatever reason, that person didn't have all the supports they needed to raise children. Because let's be real, it takes a village to raise a kiddo. And I think we are in really weird times where a lot of parents end up living in isolation. And so they can have the best of intentions, but because they don't have the support that they actually do need to help raise kiddos, and the emotional support sometimes, they end up unintentionally putting some of that weight onto their kiddos. Now, I want to be very clear. This isn't me saying that parents should never show emotions to their kids, that they should never fight in front of their kids or have a rough day in front of their kids, because we actually know that our kids seeing us go through struggle and heal that, and the key is we have to actually heal and show them how to resolve it, is helpful. Because when kids don't see any sort of emotional or any sort of emotion, for instance, I work with some teenagers who have said things like, I've never seen my parents get mad, or I've never seen them cry, or I've never seen them go through something hard. They actually end up feeling like something is internally wrong with them if they never see any of those emotions. So I'm not saying, hey, let's hide all of our emotions from kids, but there's a distinct difference between not showing emotions and how to regulate them to your kids and relying on your kids for your emotional needs and having them be the person you go to when you have conflict with others and kind of dishing and telling them all of your things and having them hold that for you, when really that could be more of an adult or somebody with more of an adult brain, right? Because kiddos just don't have their prefrontal cortex is developed enough to emotionally hold space for a lot of the adult things that we go through, right? And so it's not to say that we don't share with them little parts of, hey, I'm struggling with this, but it's to say that we're not relying on them solely to take care of our emotional needs. Now, if we were a kiddo of a parent that would often dish to us or overshare some of their emotional needs and wants, or relied on us overly for us to take care of other kids in the family or pick up other parental responsibilities, it's really important that we process how to not parentify other people, because often those kiddos grow up and in their intimate partner relationships, they can trend towards choosing partners that need to be saved, that need to be helped, that we feel like, again, we're repeating that childhood pattern where we are going in and helping them with their emotional needs because we're just so used to being in that role. And so a parentified child might grow up and overly take care of other people in their lives, including friends, including their own partner and just other people in their lives. They may overly feel responsible for people's emotions. They may even pick up on emotional things in the room more than maybe some other people would, because they've been so trained and kind of conditioned to deal with those emotions and to be able to watch out for those emotions too. So their body and their mind is kind of going to be geared up to picking up on emotions, because again, it was their role to be there for different emotional things that, in reality wasn't truly their role. So I guess the biggest takeaway from today is that I hope that if you've been in that process, if that's how you were raised, that you work to heal the narratives that you are supposed to emotionally take care of other people. Because if you grew up in that environment, you don't learn that you have your own emotions and people have their own emotions. You might really struggle with differentiation, and it completely makes sense. The other thing is that you may unintentionally overfunction for people and then feel resentment over time because they're not picking up the slack and taking care of their own stuff, right? And that's just going to lead to a life where you're feeling really overwhelmed by always doing things for other people and not feeling like they're giving back to you in those ways. So these are really crucial narratives to learn, especially because those who are parentified can often struggle to take care of themselves and be a parent to themselves. In fact, they got so used to everybody's or their parents' needs being more important than theirs that often they really struggle with self-care and may not even know exactly what that looks like. And in fact, they regulate their own emotions by dealing with other people's emotions. And so they may not be very in tune with their own emotional needs and their own emotional pain and their own emotional desires, because they're so used to being keen on everybody else's emotions. And so it's going to take work for them to develop self-awareness of their own emotions and to not feel guilty or shame or like something is wrong if they're not taking care of everybody else's emotions. It's definitely a process, but I guarantee you that it is so worth it, because your relationships will be so much more fulfilling. You won't feel so exhausted. You won't be over functioning for other people. And you'll actually be loving other people by giving them the opportunity to work on their own stuff and not have you come in and always rescue them. All right, I know talking about childhood stuff and like parenting stuff is not always the most fun topic, but I do it because it is so important. And a lot of people, they kind of normalize their childhoods or write them off as like, oh, that's just what happens. And then they're kind of blind to seeing how this shows up in their current family systems and in their relationships. And, I love working with family systems. I love doing this work and kind of unraveling these patterns, because once somebody's able to see it, then they have the opportunity to actually work on it and heal and grow and be a more healthy, loving family member, and also healthy and loving to themselves. So that is what I hope for you. So as I talk about different childhood patterns and ways of growing up, you may recognize that some of these really resonate for you. And so I hope you honor that and look into that if you haven't already. And I wish you guys all the best. I hope you have a wonderful Monday, and I will check in with you guys tomorrow.